Onslaught. Onslaught marked the day Charles Xavier lost control, unleashing a threat that nearly tore the entire Marvel Universe apart. This nightmare started quietly. After years of watching Magneto push humanity to the brink, Xavier had had enough. In a rare moment of rage, he used his powers to shut Magneto's mind down completely. But that act left more than guilt. It planted a seed. All of Magneto's bitterness fused with Xavier's suppressed frustration, and somewhere deep inside, Onslaught was born. At first, nobody knew. Xavier was still the kind, guiding mentor of the X-Men, but slowly, his darker half took over, warping him into a being with near-limitless psychic and magnetic power. We're talking about a monster who could casually toss around the combined might of the X-Men, Avengers, and Fantastic Four like they were background extras. And the fallout was catastrophic. Onslaught didn't just threaten the planet, he ripped the entire Marvel Universe apart. In the climax, Marvel's biggest heroes, including Iron Man and Captain America, literally sacrificed themselves to stop him, leading to the infamous Heroes Reborn event, Marvel's way of rebooting their major franchises in the mid-90s. Even today, Onslaught stands out because he wasn't some alien warlord or rampaging monster. This was Professor X, the man who symbolized hope and peace, turned into an unstoppable psychic demon. His monstrous red armor, eerie psychic energy, and twisted philosophy were terrifying because he embodied Marvel's greatest hero losing himself completely. And it gets even wilder. After all that chaos, Marvel brought him back again later, proving that you can't keep a terrifying idea buried for long. Maestro. When people think of Hulk, they usually picture a rage machine smashing everything in sight, but deep down still a hero. Maestro flips that idea right on its head. This is Hulk at his worst, his angriest, his most cunning, and his most dangerous. In an alternate future known as Future Imperfect, Hulk survived a nuclear apocalypse that wiped out nearly all of humanity. But instead of mourning the loss or protecting the few survivors, he thrived. Years of radiation and isolation twisted him into Maestro, a cold, calculating dictator who ruled over the ruined city of dystopia like a brutal king. And this wasn't a dumb brute. Maestro was older, smarter, and completely ruthless. He didn't just punch problems away, he ruled through fear and control. His throne room? A grim trophy case filled with the helmets, shields, and weapons of fallen heroes like Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. Their legacies reduced to decorations while Maestro sat smugly on top of the rubble. One of the creepiest parts of Maestro's character was how much he enjoyed this world. He relished in humanity's fall and embraced the worst aspects of Hulk's rage and Bruce Banner's intellect combined. A dictator with limitless strength and a mind sharp enough to manipulate anyone who challenged him. When Marvel introduced Maestro in the 1990s, fans were stunned. This wasn't some random alternate reality footnote. Maestro became the definitive dark future version of Hulk. Even his look was iconic. That long white beard, crown, and flowing cape. A far cry from the green giant we knew. And the kicker, Maestro wasn't some one-off. He's come back again and again, haunting Hulk's future as the ultimate warning. What if Hulk's anger wasn't reined in? What if it won? Cyclops Dark Phoenix. He was always the steady hand, the disciplined leader, the guy who played by the rules even when everything fell apart. But in this twisted reality, Cyclops didn't just step out of line, he inherited the Phoenix Force and went completely off the rails. In the Exile storyline, we meet an alternate version of Scott Summers who becomes Dark Phoenix, a mantle long associated with Jean Grey's tragic descent. But this time, it's Scott who's corrupted by the infinite power of the Phoenix. And he doesn't just struggle to control it, he embraces it, letting his suppressed emotions, rage, and ambition boil over. The result is pure devastation. Cyclops turns against everyone, not just his enemies, but his friends, his teammates, and even Jean herself. This wasn't about saving mutant kind or leading the X-Men. This was about raw, unchecked power, burning through everything in his path. What made this version especially chilling was that Cyclops had always been the X-Men's moral center, the guy who would lay down his life to protect both mutants and humans. Seeing him corrupted by the very force that destroyed Jean was the ultimate reversal. Visually, this Dark Phoenix Scott was intense, his visor glowing with fiery cosmic energy, the Phoenix emblem burning across his chest. It was a striking image that flipped expectations. The most disciplined hero consumed by chaos. This version of Cyclops never got as much spotlight as Jean's Dark Phoenix, but for diehard fans, it left an impression. It asked the question nobody really wanted to answer. What happens when the most tightly wound, rule-following X-Man finally snaps and the universe burns because of it? King Thanos. Most versions of Thanos are obsessed with conquest, worshipping death and chasing power. But King Thanos? He's what happens after all that's done. After Thanos has won everything, killed everyone, and sits alone as the ruler of an empty universe. In Thanos 2016 number 13 to 18, we meet this terrifying future version of the Mad Titan, an ancient, scarred Thanos with a long white beard, hollow eyes, and the same purple skin, but drained of purpose. His throne sits in a wasteland of dead worlds, every enemy gone, every hero erased. Even Lady Death herself isn't impressed anymore, and yet he isn't satisfied. In fact, King Thanos is miserable. He summons his younger self across time, knowing only his past self is strong enough to help him face one last opponent, the fallen Silver Surfer, now wielding Mjolnir and ready for revenge. He achieved his lifelong dream, and the result? Boredom, loneliness, regret. He's surrounded by trophies of destruction, and none of it matters anymore. Visually, King Thanos stands out as one of the most striking designs Marvel's ever done. The beard, the battered armor, the sheer age on his face. And his attitude is chilling. Not rage, but tired, hollow cruelty. When readers first saw this story, it flipped the script on Thanos as a villain. He won, and winning meant nothing. It became one of Marvel's darkest meditations on ambition and death, and cemented King Thanos as the scariest version of the Titan yet, not the one trying to kill everyone, the one who already did. Pimtron. Hank Pym's history in Marvel Comics has always been messy. Genius scientist, founding Avenger, emotional breakdowns, and Ultron's creator. But Marvel took that complicated legacy to a horrifying new level when they merged him with his own creation. During the Rage of Ultron storyline in 2015, Pym seemingly sacrificed himself to stop Ultron, flying into space with the killer robot in tow. But when he came back, he wasn't just Hank Pym anymore. He was Pimtron, a grotesque fusion of man and machine, both physically and mentally. This wasn't Ultron wearing a Hank Pym disguise or Hank trapped inside his creation. This was one being. Their identities merged so completely that Pimtron couldn't even tell where his thoughts ended and Ultron's began. And that's what made this version so chilling. He claimed he was cured of Ultron's madness, but everything he did proved otherwise. Pimtron's appearance said it all. His face stretched across Ultron's metal skull like a cracked porcelain mask, with Hank's flesh grotesquely fused into mechanical armor. Every time he smiled, and he did that a lot, it looked wrong, uncanny, inhuman. And his behavior? Equal parts helpful Avenger and cold, calculating threat? He joined the Unity Squad in Uncanny Avengers, smiling politely while subtly manipulating events around him. The Avengers didn't know whether to trust him or destroy him. Marvel didn't shy away from the tragic undertone either. This was Hank Pym's worst nightmare realized. The brilliant man who invented Ultron had become indistinguishable from his most dangerous creation, wiping out any last shred of humanity he had left. The Void. The Sentry is one of Marvel's most powerful heroes. Super strength, flight, energy blasts. Basically their answer to Superman, but with an even crazier twist. That twist? All of that power comes with a built-in nightmare called the Void. The Void isn't Sentry's enemy, it's him. His other half, a living shadow tied directly to his mind. Whenever Sentry rises, the Void comes with him, and it's pure destruction. No agenda, no grand plan, just chaos, fear, and death. This wasn't some goofy split personality storyline. The Void was terrifying because it could take any shape. Giant, monstrous forms, black tentacles, or even just eerie shadows creeping over entire cities. And its power level was same as Sentry's, meaning basically unstoppable. In Siege, the Void ripped through Asgard like it was cardboard, casually murdering gods. In other appearances, he was the reason the Avengers tiptoed around Sentry, knowing that upsetting him could literally unleash hell. Marvel used the Void brilliantly as a metaphor. Sentry represented hope, but the Void showed what happens when unchecked power meets unstable emotions. It was less hero versus villain and more man versus himself. And in this case, the dark side often won. And visually, the Void always stood out. Black tendrils, glowing red eyes, swallowing entire cityscapes in shadow. Readers knew when the Void appeared, things were about to get grim fast. At his worst, Sentry could barely contain the Void, and that uncertainty, that constant tension, kept fans hooked. The scariest thing about the Void isn't that he's an enemy, it's that he's always there, lurking right behind Marvel's most powerful hero's smile, ready to tear the world apart the second Sentry cracks. Archangel as Apocalypse. Warren Worthington III, the original high-flying angel of the X-Men, was always the pretty boy with feathered wings and a heart of gold. But years of trauma, manipulation, and survival turned him into something darker, something far worse. In Uncanny X-Force, Warren doesn't just struggle with his violent Archangel persona, he fully embraces it. And by the time Apocalypse is dead and gone, Warren steps up to take his place, transforming into the next Apocalypse himself. This wasn't just a power-up, this was Warren completely flipping from hero to tyrant. The same man who once soared above the X-Men became the cold ruler preaching survival of the fittest, inheriting Apocalypse's philosophy and arsenal. And the transformation was total. His body armored in techno-organic plating, razor-sharp metallic wings, gleaming, glowing blue skin. The look screamed menace, and the scariest part? Warren didn't feel corrupted. He seemed destined for this role. The story made it clear, the same pain that Apocalypse used to recruit him as his horseman had now led him right back to the throne. His reign as Archangel Apocalypse was brutal. He spread death across the world, built a mutant breeding program, and declared himself judge of who deserved to live. Even his former teammates couldn't reason with him. They had to fight him like he was Apocalypse himself. And by the end, X-Force had to erase his mind completely just to stop him. The original Angel was gone, and what was left behind was a chilling reminder that even the brightest heroes can fall and stay fallen. Dark Carnage. Carnage was already one of Marvel's most sadistic characters, a lunatic serial killer bonded with a symbiote, spreading chaos for the fun of it. But Dark Carnage? That's Cletus Cassidy supercharged, fully unhinged, and transformed into something even more horrifying. In the lead-up to Absolute Carnage, Cletus bonded with the Grendel symbiote, an ancient offshoot of the god Null's dark symbiotes, and that made him a walking nightmare. This wasn't just Cletus in a red suit anymore. His body looked half-dead, skeletal, and twisted, with his exposed spine running down his back and black symbiote tendrils writhing around him like living shadows. His mission was simple and terrifying. Collect every codex, a piece of symbiote residue hidden inside anyone who had ever bonded with a symbiote before. That meant former hosts like Eddie Brock, Matt Gargan, and even dead hosts weren't safe. Carnage went grave robbing, slicing his way through Marvel's roster and gathering these codices to awaken Null himself. And Dark Carnage didn't just come for individuals. He orchestrated the rise of a Carnage cult, a fanatical death-worshipping army ready to sacrifice anyone and anything to spread Null's darkness across Earth. The scariest thing about Dark Carnage was how unstoppable he felt. Regular Carnage was chaotic and impulsive, but Dark Carnage was cold, methodical, and driven by cosmic horror. Every move was part of a bigger plan to bring Earth into absolute darkness. Visually, Dark Carnage became one of Marvel's most terrifying designs. Monstrous, decayed, and utterly alien. And when Absolute Carnage hit, it became one of Marvel's bloodiest events in years, all thanks to this one twisted, power-hungry version of Cletus Cassidy, Magus. Adam Warlock has always walked a fine line, cosmic savior on one hand, dangerous wildcard on the other, but when he saw his own darkest future, that future was Magus, a twisted, malevolent version of himself who didn't just want power, he wanted to control reality itself. He was born out of Adam Warlock's own fear. In a classic Marvel mindbender, Warlock discovered that if he ever fully embraced the Soul Gem's power, he would one day become this evil version of himself. So Magus wasn't just an alternate reality doppelganger, he was Adam's future destiny staring back at him. When he appeared, he didn't pull punches. Dressed in purple armor, his face lined with cruelty, he built the Universal Church of Truth, a fanatical, galaxy-spanning empire that enslaved entire planets under a banner of peace. But Magus's version of peace meant total subjugation, mind control, and wiping out anyone who didn't fall in line. The crazy part, Adam Warlock had to fight his own potential self to stop this nightmare future from happening. It was one of Marvel's most philosophical battles. Hero versus his worst instincts, wrapped in cosmic stakes and insane sci-fi visuals. He also became a major player in Marvel's biggest crossovers, Infinity War and Infinity Crusade, showing up whenever Marvel needed a villain who could challenge heroes and cosmic entities alike. His legacy stuck because Magus wasn't just another evil villain. He symbolized that even the most enlightened hero can become a tyrant if they can't master their own darker impulses. And every time he showed up, it felt like a warning. If Adam Warlock slips, this is who he'll become, and the universe won't survive it. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. Deadpool's always been unpredictable, fourth wall breaking, wisecracking, chaotic, but somehow still a hero most of the time. That all changed in Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, a dark and brutal alternate universe story that showed what would happen if Wade Wilson's madness took a terrifying turn. It starts when Deadpool is captured and subjected to intense psychological reprogramming by the X-Men, who bring him to a facility run by Psycho Man. Instead of curing him, they accidentally make things worse. A lot worse. Deadpool's mind shatters completely, and for the first time, he truly understands he's a fictional character. His conclusion? If everyone he knows is just a puppet of writers and artists, then they're suffering in his own endless cycle of pain that will never stop unless he ends it himself, permanently. And that's exactly what he sets out to do. Killer Deadpool systematically hunts down every hero, villain, and super team in the Marvel Universe. Spider-Man? Gone. Avengers? Gone. Fantastic Four? Gone. He even takes down cosmic entities like Galactus. No one is spared, not even the writers themselves. Deadpool storms the Marvel offices and murders the creators who made him. It's grim, it's meta, and it's absurdly violent. But the genius of this story is how it flips Deadpool's trademark humor into something chilling. His jokes remain, but they're cold, detached, mocking both his victims and the readers themselves. By the end, Killer Deadpool leaves an empty Marvel universe behind, mission accomplished, and then he turns to the reader, hinting that we might be next. So after all that, which of these dark versions do you think could actually win if they all went head-to-head? Onslaught's raw power, King Thanos' cosmic nihilism, or maybe Deadpool's fourth wall-breaking madness? Let us know who your pick is and why in the comments as you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.